welcome to Reimagining Chapel. My name is Amanda Esco, and I am the director of the Religious Education Program here at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. Thanks for joining us today. Let's start by lighting our chalice. Got it right here. I've got our flower pot chalice today. Do you have your chalice at home? Symbol of light, symbol of knowledge, symbol of warmth, symbol of freedom. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. Now, we have a fun Reimagining Chapel today, and this is our first taped Reimagining Chapel with our new theme for this month. The theme for November is healing. I think it's apt at the moment. Our nation, our country has been through a lot with this election cycle and with this pandemic. And we could all use new stories, new tools, new ways of healing. So let's start this month by joining together with Reimagining Chapel to talk about healing today. And specifically today, we're talking about comforting one another and how that looks like. So that might be comforting each other with our joys and concerns, or how we comfort ourselves. Speaking of joys and concerns, we always like to start our Reimagining Chapel by addressing those joys and concerns. A joy I've had this week is, frankly, the election is over. Now, we still have a lot of time, and it's not decided yet. I'm filming this on Thursday. There's still no president-elect yet. But I have hope that maybe by this weekend, we'll know more. I also have hope for our democracy. I was so happy to hear that our polls were safe, that people were safe, and that our country was able to hold an election with so much peace. That made me really joyful this week. I also really liked joining together with our adult community for a worship service on Wednesday night to talk about the election. That was another joy for me. Well, what's going well for you? What maybe isn't? Talking about our joys and concerns is another way we comfort each other. So let's do that now. Share your joys and concerns with the people that love you, and I'll be right here waiting for you. Thank you for sharing your joys and concerns with those that love you the most. The people in your life want to hear about how you're feeling. It's one way that people can help comfort one another. So today, we're going to do something a little bit different. It's called a body prayer. And this one specifically is written by another DRE, Annie Scott. Now, there are lots of different ways to pray or meditate. Many different ways for us to be in touch with our deepest selves. The part of ourselves that some call the divine, holy, God or goddess. It's important for us to take time to be still, to be quiet, and let ourselves reach for the deepest and best parts of ourselves. Today, I'm going to teach you a body prayer of gratitude that we can do without words, just movement. First, I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to continue to talk you through it, but you're going to do it at home silently. No words. You ready? I think we can do it. I'm going to take a step back. So, we bring our hands together in front of us, near our heart. Pause. Then we lift our hands out in front of us to offer to others and the world all that we have to give. We lift our hands high above our heads, reaching out for the world. And then we bring our arms back down to our heart center. Let's do that one more time. So we're going to put our hands in front of us. to remember our heart. Then we're going to offer our hands out to the world and to others. Then we're going to lift our hands high up into the sky. We are one with the universe. And then back down to our own hearts, reaching to ourselves. Moving our bodies like this is a way that we can comfort ourselves. Our lives are so busy. Our bodies are so busy. It's important for us to comfort ourselves by taking time and being still, quiet, and maybe listening to what's deep, deep in our hearts. Now, we have another UU of the week that I am excited to share with you. Just wait and listen.
Welcome to the UU of the Week. I'm Liz Olander, and I'm the Religious Education Assistant at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. Today, we are going to learn about the first Unitarian President of the United States of America, John Adams. He was born in 1735 to a Puritan family who lived in Braintree, Massachusetts. His father wanted John to become a minister, but he felt too constrained by the beliefs of his upbringing. He left behind the more conservative religion of his childhood and decided instead to become a Unitarian and a lawyer. His legal career really took off when Adams defended British soldiers who fired into a crowd of angry colonists, killing 5 people in what was called the Boston Massacre. No other lawyer would defend them, but Adams believed that no person should be denied their right to counsel, meaning to have a lawyer on your side in court. He famously argued that facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. The people were so angry that they all wanted all of the soldiers to be punished. But Adams argued that innocence should be protected above all else. Only the 2 soldiers who directly fired into the crowd were convicted, and the other 6 that Adams defended were found not guilty. A few years after that, the same angry feelings the colonists had against the British soldiers pushed them ever closer to the American Revolution when the colonies declared independence from the British. Adams was the representative of Massachusetts in the Continental Congress, and he said that they should write a Declaration of Independence. And he also said that his friend Thomas Jefferson should write it. But John Adams was an editor, and they both worked closely to write the document. During the war, Adams spent time in Europe attempting to negotiate peace with France and later with Britain. He secured loans from the Netherlands to help support George Washington's army, who had run out of food and supplies. While in Europe, John Adams actually hung out with Joseph Priestley, the inventor of fizzy water we all remember, and Unitarianism's #1 fan. We remember that Joseph Priestley got chased out of Europe by a fiery mob and then was instrumental in bringing Unitarianism to America. Although John Adams later became a critic of Priestley. He did not agree with everything he said. But after the war ended, America prepared to elect its first president. At that time, the person who won the most electoral college votes would be the president, and the runner-up became the vice president. Most people knew that the Southern General George Washington would win the presidency, so they wanted a Northerner to be the vice president. John Adams didn't even run, but he was elected anyway as America's first vice president. After Washington decided not to run for a third term, John Adams became the second president of the United States. Unfortunately, Adams was not very popular as president. Thomas Jefferson used his friends in the press to criticize the Adams administration so much that John Adams signed the Alien and Sedition Act into law. This extremely unpopular law made the residency requirement to become an American citizen much longer. Remember that none of these guys were born in America, so residency and the rights that go with it were based on how long you had been in America. The law was used to round up Adams' critics and force them to leave the country or go to jail. The act also made it illegal for anyone to publicly criticize the government, which was used against the journalists. The act expired at the end of Adams' term, but unfortunately, our current president has modeled some of his own policies on immigration and the free press on this legal precedent. John Adams lost his bid for a second term for president as a result of all of this to Thomas Jefferson. And though Adams was unpopular at the time, history has softened its view of John Adams as president. He never personally used the Alien and Sedition Act against his enemies, and he even pardoned groups of people who resisted his taxes. He avoided war with France and is credited with moral leadership. They said no one understood the law and political science better than John Adams. It was just his abrupt nature that got in the way. John Adams studied faith and philosophy with as much fervor as he did politics, favoring Unitarian services the most. His writings speak of a reverence for morality, justice, and science. He also had a universalist flair, believing that God would not be so vengeful and that all people were saved. John Adams lived to be 90 years old, holding the record for the longest living former president until Ronald Reagan surpassed him. John Adams died on the 4th of July in 1826, on the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the beloved document he wrote with Thomas Jefferson, who also died that same day, only a few hours before Adams. John and his wife Abigail are buried in a crypt beneath a Unitarian church called United First Parish in Quincy, Massachusetts. His son, John Quincy Adams, is also there, along with his wife Louisa. John Quincy Adams became the third Unitarian president of the United States, if you include Thomas Jefferson. There were two more Unitarian presidents after them, not including Barack Obama's brief stint in UU Sunday School. Do you know who they were? Thank you for joining me for this presidential edition of the UU of the Week. Until next time.
Hi, friends. Welcome to my kitchen. Let's see what's inside our Wonder Box today. This makes sense why we're in the kitchen. There's some bean soup. So sometimes people call soup a comfort food because when we're feeling sick or sad or lonely, it's a food that gives us healing. It comforts us. When we're sick or lonely, we might not feel in the mood to eat daring or experimental foods. We want to return to foods that we know and we love. Whenever we need to heal, we want to return to the people and the places and the food and other things that we know and love. Do you have a favorite way to comfort or heal yourself? Is it a food? Do you have an example of a favorite comfort food that you could tell those who are with you? For example, a friend of my mom handed her down a comfort food called graham cracker cereal. Now, when her mom was a little girl, she would break the graham crackers into a bowl and pour milk on them to make kind of like a cold cereal. It got really mushy, and that was the part they all liked. She and her family would still eat that, even though they were both grandmothers by this time. According to studies, chicken soup, in fact, may be also medicinal for colds and flu. Quote, it helps clear nasal congestion as well as thin mucus so you can cough a little bit better. In addition, research shows that it may have mild anti-inflammatory effects that can help ease symptoms, unquote. As we seek comfort and healing, foods can help, but there are lots of other ways that people seek comfort. Petting the fur of your dog or your cat is one of them. Being part of our church community is comforting too, knowing that there are people that care if you're sad or sick or lonely. During this time of COVID and isolation, it's nice to chat with church folks and share together, even though we are physically distant. These are all things we can do to comfort and heal ourselves. What's your favorite way to comfort yourself? I can't wait to hear it. Thank you for joining us once again for Reimagining Chapel. To find out more information about the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, please visit us at slcuu.org. Until next time, though, let's heart out.
Each person is important. To be kind in all you do. 3, help each other learn. 4, and search for what is true. 5, all people have a say. 6, one for